Hey, what's up? How's it going, guys? So, I wanted to share basically a collection of quotes that I made from Gabe Dawg. And for those who don't know, Gabe Dawg is a former life coach. That's his nickname. His real name is Gabriel Bocanegra, but he's popularly known as Gabe Dawg, and he's a former life coach. He used to make a lot of videos here on YouTube, particularly about NoFap. In other words, the addiction recovery journey from pornography use and masturbation. So he was kind of like a life coach for overcoming addiction, particularly overcoming pornography use. And he made a lot of videos on that topic. He made hundreds and hundreds of videos about NoFap. And yeah, I want to share in this video. I want to share a collection of quotes from him that I love that really stuck out to me, and just a little bit of a language warning. There is some not necessarily so great language in this in some of the quotes, so I just want to give a warning of that first. But it's all for good inspiration. So, but yeah, the first quote from him that I noted down is, "You can't go in two directions at once. That's impossible." Yeah, I really like that just because it's so true, right? Like, you can't pursue the clean, sober, virtuous lifestyle. You can't pursue the NoFap lifestyle and also indulge in pornography at the same time. Like, you can't go in two directions at once. You gotta commit to one path. You know, that's very true, and that's something that addicts can get caught up in easily. Is still trying to live that, be in that like that pornography addict lifestyle, yet also trying to do no fap at the same time, and that just doesn't really work. So that's a really good quote that I like from him. And then another one is PMO, which, that, by the way, PMO stands for pornography, masturbation, orgasm. That's what it stands for. PMO is a piece of shit painted gold. That is so true. That is so true, because it just shows the fact that it's an illusion. That's another way of saying that pornography is just an illusion. Like, it may appear as something valuable, it may appear like gold, like something that will give you a good escape. It's, pleasurable, but in reality, there's just all these negative consequences. It ruins your life. Yeah, it's a piece of crap. It's a piece of shit painted gold. It's so true. That's another quote that I love from him. Um, and the next one is, "The devil doesn't come to you dressed as a demon. He comes to you as everything your ego desires." So true. The devil, he's the master of deception. You know, that's something that's important to keep in mind. The spiritual enemy is always going to try to fool you. He's the master of illusions. Next quote is, "NoFap is the journey of realizing that everything that you thought was gold is nothing but a piece of shit." So true. So true. That's what the addiction recovery NoFap journey is. You know, like, at first you're falling for the illusion. You think that it's giving you pleasure. You think that it's giving you some sort of fulfillment, but in reality, at the end of the day, it's just ruining your life and giving you all kinds of new negative consequences, ruining your relationships. It's just absolutely ruining your life. So that's so true. I love that quote. Maybe except for the curse word. But yeah, I mean, other than like the curse words, yeah, great quotes. Next quote is, "Doing PMO is comparable to eating glass or drinking paint." That's so accurate, because those are harmful activities. Those are ridiculous, harmful activities that like no one in their right mind would ever do. Like, who freaking eats glass or drinks paint or drinks like cleaner spray or something like that? Like, nobody does that, right? And when you gain the right understanding, you realize that engaging in pornography use is the same sort of thing, because it's really harmful. It gives you all this unnatural dopamine that floods in your brain, and it gives you brain fog, and it corrupts your mind and your spirit. So that's why it's comparable to doing something like drinking paint or drinking something poisonous. So I love that quote. It's so accurate. Yeah, doing PMO is comparable to eating glass or drinking paint. The next quote is, the 3 pillars of NoFap are your understanding, attitude, and action. So true. Next quote is, the reason you think NoFap is hard is because you don't have the right understanding. You're not in alignment with the truth. So yeah, like, in other words, yeah, like you think it's hard to overcome the addiction just because you don't have the right understanding. Like, you don't have the understanding and the knowledge enough of how harmful and destructive this stuff is when you give into the temptation. You gotta really, on a deep level, you have to have that understanding. So I love that quote. Next quote from Gabe is, stay true to yourself. Follow the light in your heart. Walk your highest path and fly on the wings of love. So that's a good quote from Gabe Dawg that's known by a lot of people, that he would always say at the end of a lot of his videos. That's a pretty common one. That one is actually from, I think her name is Shayla. She was his fiance for a while before he separated from her because of his pornography addiction, sadly. But that's one of the, I think he was saying that's like one of the last things that Shayla told him before they separated was that quote, stay true to yourself, follow the light in your heart, walk your highest path, and fly on the wings of love. So the next quote is, the PMO cycle is a prison, but the chains are made of gold, so it makes you feel like a king. That's so true. It's a prison. It keeps you stuck. It's literally like a prison. But, you can easily get caught up into thinking that it's good, and that, it kind of just makes you feel, it makes you feel good temporarily like a king, but in reality, it's a prison. So true. Next quote is, all PMO has ever done is F up your life. Straightforward, simple, powerful, absolute facts. Next one is, ask yourself, what am I losing when I do PMO? You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands on your dick. I can't believe I'm saying these words, but these are the quotes, and it's so true. I don't normally say like these curse words and things like that, but it's relevant because it's so true and it's so accurate. It's good. It's really good things to remember. You cannot be successful if you're masturbating on a regular basis. Like, you just can't. It's so accurate. And you have to guard the temple of your mind. It's a good one. If you just study the benefits of NoFap every day and the negatives of PMO, there will be a shift in your awareness. So true. The path of nofap is the most beautiful and amazing life. 100% agree with that. You owe it to yourself to just keep going clean. If PMO feels so good, then why do you want to quit? Because it's ruining your life. Next quote is, PMO is the slowest form of suicide. Study the teachings of the enlightened masters. So I really like that quote. Like for me personally, that would be like studying the teachings of Jesus Christ, study the teachings of the enlightened masters, study the teachings of the successful people. And that'll help you to become that kind of person. So I really like that one. That's some great advice. And then the last quote that I wrote down from him is, don't focus on what you're losing, focus on what you're gaining.